you want to play a deck that's not fire and you want to compete in the meta, well, I think Kashtira is the perfect rogue deck to do that. Things first, I do want to say, I'm not going to cope. I think for sure the fire decks are better than every other deck in the format right now. Fire decks are tier 0. They're the best deck. Whether it's pure Snake Eyes, whether it's Fire King Snake Eyes, I think any time of Snake Eye deck, if they have 3 Bonfire, 3 Wanted, they have a hyper consistent deck, they have the best deck in the format right now. Do want to note some things, right? This is not a board breaker format. You've probably realized that people are playing a lot of hand traps, right? So Kashtira actually loves those types of formats, right? They survive off of, not that they survive, but they are really, really good going into hand traps, because at the end of the day, you're still gonna have a big body on the board, right? They could throw an Ash Blossom, they could throw a Mourner, they could throw a Veiler, that's fine. You know, you're still ending on an interruption, you're still ending on a big beat stick, so that's really, really good. But the problem is going second, going into their board. That's usually where the issue arises, and I'm gonna show you how I play my deck and how I've been having really great success in this format, although the fire decks are obviously the best decks in this given format. So I'm gonna go a little in depth and explain to you my card choices and the reasons why I made the list the way it is. So first things first is you're obviously gonna play 3 Fenrir, right? You're not gonna play, you're not gonna change these ratios. Everyone knows these. Again, an issue that Kashtira has, and the reason why people kind of like stray away from it, is because it's not consistent, or it's not consistent enough, right? Compared to the other decks, the fire decks. So I wanna make my Kashtira deck as consistent as possible, right? I wanna get into my Shinra era, I wanna get into my rank 7s. When I go first, I definitely don't wanna brick. So I made sure to maximize my consistency, and to do that, the best way to do that is just play more cash cards. So you definitely max out on Rise Heart, because this one combos with Birth, combos with Theosis, and it's a really good extender to have in your hand. Then the 1 Scare Claw, of course. The Ogre, I definitely don't think you cut this. So what a lot of people do is they cut Ogre and they cut Preparation, and I think this is a really big mistake. So before, you know, when we had a Rise Heart, you would end on a Rise Heart, which was just an amazing interruption, and then like the deck was just good in itself, right? You didn't have to play these additional cards. But now that, you know, we don't end on a Rise Heart, you actually use Ogre as a disruption, and you use Preparations a lot, because you want to banish your own cards, whether it's with SP, whether it's with your, you know, your Scareclaw Kashtira, and with more cards I'm going to get into, you use this as follow-up. So I think these cards are extremely important, and they contribute to your grind game. They contribute to like, just like how you play the deck, right? It also gives you more cash cards in the deck, and I think these cards are just really, really powerful. Like, I think there's no reason in slimming down this is not considered fat in my opinion, and you shouldn't slim this down. Sure, you could win with just like Fenrir and Unicorn control, but I just don't think that's good enough, and I think you want to see cash cards. So I definitely wouldn't cut these cards. Then I went as far as to play another cash name, because again, I want to see cash cards. Sure, it's not like a combo starter or whatever. It could kind of get you out of brick hands with Birth, right? Because if you have Birth in this, you can normal summon it, and then you can mill 3 cards. And then if you hit any name, you could kind of play the game. So that's pretty cool. So for sure, by playing this card, you're bumping up the consistency of playing the game just by a little bit. And I think that's really cool. And keep in mind, this could also be a good card to side out. So I play max names to have max consistency in making my Shinra era. Then for hand traps, I play 3 Shifter, of course, right? We could play Shifter, 3 Ash, 3 Mourner, and 2 Imperm. Again, I feel like you should always have reasons for playing the cards that you're playing in your deck. You shouldn't just throw them in. I've talked about this before. So Shifter, of course, we could always play Shifter. You could play a certain way, like you could wait, because you know people are not really on talents now, so you could wait to Shifter them, and that's usually even more powerful than just going standby phase Shifter. So if you're going second, you could kind of just wait with this card, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. 3 Ash, I think is just extremely generic, and you want to play level 3 tuners for the simplified game states where you can normal summon them and go Barone. I feel like that comes up a lot. So Ash is just the most generic one, so that's why I play 3 Ash. Mourner, it's kind of like an Imperm, and a Veiler, but it works under Shifter, so I think that's really, really cool. It's also level 3, of course, and a decent card to side out. Keep in mind that if they link off their witch and stuff and they take 25, it's really easy to game them after that, right? Because you don't even have to deal 8,000, so you could sneak game just by the burn effect of this card, and that's pretty cool. Then I played 2 Imperm. I could bump this up to 3, but the way that my side patterns work and stuff, I ended up playing 2. And there's a card in my deck that you could easily switch out for the 3rd Imperm, right? I'm not saying like you have to play 2, but I think you can bump it up to 3 if you want, if you don't want to play the other card that I'm going to show later. Always side this card out going first. So that's it for the hand traps. Then for the spells, really quick, of course, the planets, the births. I think this is one of the reasons why Cash is really, really good right now. You know, even going against like the Fire King version and just hitting their names in the grave is really, really powerful, right? Once you go into the grind game, it's like the Fire King deck thinks it has a really good grinding game, but once they play against this card and once they play against Unicorn, they realize that, you know, all the resources are getting whittled down and you could probably win those games. And then 3 Theosis, let me put it a little better. 3 Prosperity, of course. And then for the last spells is 2-Dimensional Fissure. Again, this with the 3 Shifter, it's 5 cards you could see going first, and you could have a Floodgate, right? But even going second, this card, just slapping it on the board is pretty powerful, right? It shuts out Veiler, it shuts out Imperm. They could go IP effect to Synchro, or to Link, but they can't use their Flamberg, so that's pretty cool. And if they don't have that line, let's say you hand trap them and you use this, now you shut off the Flamberg from hitting the grave, which is really powerful. So I think this card is insane, especially going into a board. It's pretty good, but just helps you see a Floodgate going first. So this card has been insane for me. Just going first, activating this card. You know your opponent's Veiler, everyone's playing Veiler and Droll, you're shutting off all those cards. So that's really, really powerful. It's also really good against Rogue, right? So I love this card. I think it's just, it's 2 more of a Floodgate that you could see going first. Now, what's crazy about this card is that it only banishes monsters, right? So keep in mind what I said about preparations, right? If you establish Fissure, you fuel your preparations really, really easily. And like, even if they Nibiru you, you're gonna have a way to summon your Shangri-Ira during their standby phase with preparation. So you kind of like play through Nibiru. So that's that. And then the last card is the Triple Tactical Talents. You could take this out and play a 3rd Imperm if you really want to do that, but I just wanted the little slight bump of consistency. I know this card is not great going into the fire decks and stuff, but you know, it can help you see 2 cards. It can help you draw 2. And like, if I'm going first and I know my opponents are playing crazy amount of hand traps, right? Let's say I go Fenrir and they Ash Blossom me, right? I could Talents, look at their hand, rip a starter, and then I know that my Fenrir could get me there. So I think playing 1, you know, not playing any more because you could break with it. I think just playing 1 allows it to be a good card. And yeah, if you want, you can take it out for Imperm. Now going into the extra deck, you play 1 Shangri-Ira. You definitely don't need any more. 1 Dark Arm, 1 Flare Metal, 1 number 11, 176. I really like making this against the Fire King version, or even Voiceless Voice. It's not that bad. None the Draco Sack, right? And then following with the Draco Sack for the combo, you play 2 Link Spiders, the G Golem, the Heat Soul, and the card that I always end on now is Appaloosa. So look, people are playing a lot of hand traps. They have like a 90% chance of seeing a hand trap. It's kind of crazy right now. So you resolving this combo is not likely, I'm gonna be honest. But if you do resolve this combo, you definitely do not want to play into Nibiru, because if you see this resolving, I always kind of like suspect Nib. So I always, most of the time, especially if I'm playing against the fire deck, I'll go G Golem, Reborn, and then I'll have my Draco Sack, right? And then I'll just use all these to go into Appaloosa. And I think that's a way better line than to going for a draw 1. And it really depends on your hand, right? Like some hands you might need that extra draw during your turn and your opponent's turn. But if I already opened a hand trap, like what more could I draw into, right? I already have my engine and I already have a hand trap. Why would I want to go into Heat Soul? So I could even say that you could cut this, but I'm playing it for now. And Appaloosa is always the way to go, right? You play through Nib and then you end on additional interruption, and you kind of like, it's you could resolve all 3 of the negates from this card because you have your Fenrir banishing a card, your Yugioh popping a card maybe, and stuff like that. So I really like ending on Appaloosa now. Then SP, of course, and then the Zeus Typhon, and then the last card is the Barone, which is really good right now, especially because your opponent's opening up like 4 hand traps and a starter, and if you could stop that starter, they're gonna stop your special summon, and then you could normal summon a hand trap, and then go into Barone, and then kind of win the game from there, to be honest. Then for the side deck, the overperforming card for me has been Delta and Gamma. I think you just want to draw like a really high impact hand trap, hit them, make them pass, and then get into that simplified game state with your Fenrirs and your Unicorns, right? That's when your deck thrives. So if you see one of these cards and like Engine, you're kind of chilling. These cards could help you like just seal the deal. And like, if you think about it, when do these cards not go in? Right? If you're going second against any deck, like this card could stop Brand Infusion, this card could stop the Flunderies, like, you know, spell cards, this card could stop everything. So I feel like this is a card that I always want in my deck going second. And I played 2 more hand traps just because of side patterns. I think Bell is just decent right now, right? I don't want to play 3, just the way that side patterns work, there was just way too many. So I have these cards against like Despia and Voiceless Voice and stuff like that. The 2 cards I still choose to play, even though it seems incorrect to play in this format. Keep in mind, everyone is siding in Summon Limit going first. So if you play against the fire decks, anything like that, you put these 2 in, and if you draw Thrust, you could just go Battle Phase, right? And then people are going to use their Flamberg to bring out the SP, the IP, right? And then you could just Thrust, grab your Duster, and then use Duster and get rid of the Summon Limit and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. It's also really good against Rogue, right? And then one more target for my Thrust is D-Barrier. It seems kind of weird right now, but if you think about it, if you're not playing against the fire deck, this card is probably really good, right? What are you playing against? Pearly, Despia, you're playing against, with that ritual deck, Voiceless Voice, this card is usually live, so you can put these cards in going first against those decks, and they're playing a lot of hand traps, right? Because they're preparing for the fire decks. So you could resolve these and set D-Barrier and skip their turn. Then the last 3 cards, the last 5 cards, I never change these. Again, these cards have won me way too many games. Again, like I said, covers what you lose to, and what's really powerful about Judgment is that you could let them resolve their Snake Eye Ash, go into Populous, that's fine. You could let them go into the Link Rebo, you could let them start playing the game, and then once they climb, once they try to Link climb and you Judgment the summon, it's pretty much game, because they can't resolve their Flamberg, they can't resolve any of the cards that they sent to grave for their chain links, right? They can't resolve those chain links. So this card could become like a really big bomb card, so I like that. And then Anti-Spell just stopping Voiceless Voice, branded, random rogue decks. It's just always a safe card to put in going first. So that's the deck profile. Let me know what you guys think. I think this is the best way to take the deck right now. The hand trap approach, just because of how the cards are in the format. I think I will keep playing it up until I complete one of my other decks. But if there was a YCS tomorrow or something, I would definitely take this deck. I know I won't have the best deck in the room, but I know with this list, I'll be really prepared to play against the fire decks or random rogue decks. And I think I could, you could take this deck and you could do extremely well at locals, regionals, and big events. So thank you for watching, and that's it.